Hey guys, this is Enlightened Tarot here with you today. I am going to make a video on the different manifestation techniques that I use. This is actually a pretty widely requested video. So I'm going to share with you the ones that I use. So the ones that I work with heavily is scripting. I use the placebo effect. I work heavily with crystals, and then also the 17-second rule. And I'll go over all of those. I won't go too in depth. I will just kind of show you how I did them and what results that I received. So right now I'm more so focused on bettering my life and becoming the best version of me. So I'm not really focused on manifesting physical things into my reality. But at the beginning of my journey, that's what I was mainly focused on, was like food and money, and losing weight too. So I'll definitely share that with you as well. And I just want to say, for starters, when it comes to the law of attraction and when you're consciously trying to manifest something into your life, you don't want to manifest from a low vibrational standpoint. You don't want to be angry or sad or anything like that, because then it's not going to happen. You're putting more resistance on what you're trying to manifest. So before you do any type of manifestation techniques, I highly recommend getting yourself in a high vibrational standpoint. So sing, dance, laugh, smile, go for a walk outside, ground yourself, work with crystals, eat something that you really enjoy, do something that you really enjoy, to really boost your mood, to experience the best results. So I'll start with scripting first. I have made a video on scripting before, so if you want to look at that, go for it. But I recommend, when you're starting out with manifesting and using the law of attraction, to start out small, to kind of build your confidence so that it actually works. Because you're not just going to manifest, one time, or use, the law of attraction one time and manifest like $1,000 or like a dream vacation. I mean, some of us are master manifestors, like naturally, and so maybe somebody has done that before, and kudos to you. But not many of us can. So I really encourage you that if you haven't had a lot of success with the law of attraction, start small. Start with, if you're working with, money, manifest like $1 here, $5 there, or food, or like a cup of coffee, or something like that. So that's what I did. I started with food, because I just really enjoy food, and food is always easy to come by. So for me, when I script, I don't just use random pieces of paper and like that. Like, I have journals, like manifesting journals, set aside specifically. I have a goal journal. I have affirmation journal. I have a scripting / manifestation journal, and then I have a shadow work journal, and then my spiritual journey journal. So I have lots of journals. I have a few of them here today, and recently I actually, about maybe 2 months ago, purchased an infinite journal, or an infinite agenda, to really help, and I love this thing. I'm sure you've seen tons of videos on it, especially if you follow Leora Alexandra or the Gem Goddess. They have made tons of videos not tons, but a few videos on the Infinite Journal, and I love it because it says things like, today I am looking forward to whatever, today I am super grateful for, and that's awesome when you can wake up in the morning. Most people go through their their agendas or their planners in the first thing in the morning. Writing things down that you're grateful for is a great way to boost your vibrations. And that's also a great way for scripting is too. For manifesting, scripting, however you want to call it. So that's what I use. And I feel that when you actually have like a set place for it, it's stronger because I guess it like imprints in your brain, I guess is a better word for it. Like instead of just having a random piece of paper laying around the house, you're like, oh, where's that piece of paper at, you have a journal, and I keep my journals on my bookcase. Sometimes I bring them to work with me or, wherever I'm going. I do carry one journal on me at all times, and that is my Hakuna Matata journal. No worries. To write down any negative thoughts that I'm having. Whenever I have negative thoughts throughout the day, I just write them down. And if I have the time right then and there, I'll go through and I'll analyze them, like, why am I having these thoughts? Where are these coming from? And I do a little bit of shadow work, and there's multiple ways to do shadow work as well, and I'm going to be making a video on that very soon as well. And so I carry this one on me at all times, because when you're healing yourself and working through a lot of your negative thoughts, you make it easier to manifest, because then you're healing those thoughts and those wounds and making yourself whole. So there's a lot of things that go into using the law of attraction. It's not just about manifesting things. There's so much that goes into it. So starting with scripting, the first time that I used scripting, I was blown away, because I think I have it written in my journal here. It would be a little hard to find because I didn't bookmark it, which I should have, I guess. But anyways, I wake up every morning and I write down, rewrite affirmations in my affirmation journal. I am happy, I am blessed, things like that. And I can definitely make a video on affirmations if you're interested in that as well. And I have a gratitude journal as well, and I go through and I look at my goals every morning. But if I am looking into manifesting something that day, I'll write it down in my scripting journal, something small. I leave the bigger things for actual times when I can set aside to write those down, and I'll go over that with you as well. But I woke up and basically just wrote down, wanted to test how scripting would work for me. And I wrote down, today I am so grateful that I have received a grande caramel macchiato from Starbucks, and I am grateful that I have received, I am grateful that I have received mozzarella sticks with a chicken parmesan sandwich, I think it was, because that's normally what I eat for lunch. And I love caramel macchiatos from Starbucks. I mean, who doesn't? Of course, with coconut milk. And so I wrote that down, and I just sat there for a minute, really kind of meditated on that, feeling gratitude for receiving it. And this is when I was still working on the ship. I'm in the Navy, for those of you who don't know. And I was working on the ship, and I had this petty officer orientation. So there's the different ranks in the military, and I'm a petty officer 3rd class. And Um, Twice a year, we have the opportunity to be promoted to petty officer, second class, or whatever your rank is. And so we have to take a class. It's like a 1 week class to learn how, a petty officer behaves and acts and things like that. And it was the third day that I was in this class, so my vibrations were already pretty high up because I was already looking forward to basically skipping out on work. I didn't actually have to go to work. I still had to go to the ship, but I basically just sat in a desk all day and listened to people talk about how you should behave as a second class. So I was already, looking forward to the day, and it was crazy because I didn't bring any food with me. I was having a lot of financial issues in the beginning of my journey, so I was trying not to spend money, and I'd forgotten to bring my lunch. Like, I actually packed it, but I left it in the fridge. And so got to work, was going through this class, and it was time to break for lunch. And we have this little diner across the street from our ship to where usually people hang out. And one of the guys asked me if I wanted to come, and I said, no, that's fine, and I didn't bring any money, I'm just gonna stay here. And he said, oh, okay, well, I'll see you after lunch. He came back about 45 minutes later, and he sat down, no joke, a grande caramel macchiato with one of those styrofoam to-go containers. And he's like, here, I got you something. And I was like, what? Like, you didn't have to do that. And I opened up the lid, and I'm not kidding you guys. It was an order of mozzarella sticks with a chicken parmesan sandwich. And I was like I was dumbstruck. Like I was like, oh my God. Like, there's no way this is happening. Like, this is not real. And he's like, what, is something wrong? He's like, are you vegetarian or something? And I wasn't vegetarian at this time, I was still eating meat, at the beginning of my journey here and there. And I was like, no, like, nothing's wrong. I just, like, thank you. Like, I'm so grateful that you brought this to me. Because I didn't know how to explain to him, like, oh yeah, I wrote in a journal this morning that, I was going to receive this. And, I had no idea. Like, I wasn't trying to spend money. I didn't bring lunch with me. I was just going to skip lunch. And, like, this came to me, and it's absolutely incredible. And that kind of just shows you how, it kind of goes along when you are super attached to something. When you're manifesting, you put it on a pedestal. And so you give it such great importance, and your mind is so worried about it. And so it makes it harder to come to you. But manifesting mozzarella sticks and a sandwich and coffee, like, that's not important. You don't really care if you're going to receive it or not. And I honestly believe that is, like, that's why I received it. So that's just like a small, thing with that. And, so I guess another way you can use scripting as well is you can write letters to people. You don't have to send them out. I usually write letters, pretend to write letters to my sister or my mom, and I just tell them, like, how happy and how amazing my life is, and how, like, I'm so grateful that I'm not in the Navy. I'm so grateful that I am a civilian. At first, I actually did have a letter that said, like, I'm grateful I'm no longer in the Navy. And that was before I did a lot of my research on, what words to use. So when you're scripting, manifesting, period, you don't want to use bad words. You don't want to, include what you don't want. You only want to include what you do want. But, I would write, my mom or my sister, one of my brothers or a friend, and be like, I'm so grateful I'm a civilian. I'm so grateful that I have a job doing what I love. We moved into this new house recently, and it's a 4-bedroom house, and it's a 2-story, and there's an indoor or an in-ground pool in the backyard, and, you should come and visit sometime and bring your kids. And, I would just, go on and on and on. And so I would, just make up this fake life of mine, a fake, that I wanted, and I would write it in this letter. granted, yes, I am still in the Navy. I understand that. And, you know, a lot of the times I realize, I've mentioned this in past videos, we try manifesting things that don't align with our higher selves. And I, you know, recently realized that as much as I don't like being in the Navy, being in the Navy is probably the best thing for me. Sorry if you hear my son in the background. He's having a tough day. So, but you know, I realized that, you know, being in the Navy is good for me, and sorry, it's good for me when it comes to discipline and financial stability. And not to mention, if I wasn't in the Navy right now, I'd be a stay-at-home mom, going to college, and basically not getting out. And that's, you know, being in the Navy is good for me because I get out and about. I meet new people every single day. And that's what my higher self wants for me. My higher self wants me to connect with other people. It doesn't want me to stay, you know, as a hermit, like in my house. So we have to know what we want. And I made a video about that, about how to figure that out. So, that's what you can use for scripting. It's really important when you're scripting to use positive words. So when I script, I always start my sentences and paragraphs out with, I am grateful for this. I have manifested $5 before. You know, I was like, I am grateful I have received $5 today. And I actually remember finding $5 like underneath my seat in my car, which was pretty bizarre, because like I don't usually carry cash on me. You know, everything's electronic these days, so to find $5 underneath my, you know, seat in my car was pretty bizarre. And I do remember when I was in a, you know, bad place financially, like I was getting really desperate about money, and you know, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to afford this? And so I'd be like, today, you know, I would, you know, write down, I would script, today I found $20 while I was at work. And, you know, I'd write down a whole story. And I realized that I was limiting the universe from working its, you know, its magic. Because I would write, you know, today I found $20 while I was at work. I was working with so-and-so and we were doing this. And I was so surprised when I turned around and I saw, you know, the $20 bill laying on the ground. I basically told the universe, like, hey, I want to find $20 at this place at this time, and I want to find it like this. So I limited the universe very heavily on what it could bring me. So I realized, you know, when you focus on the how, you create resistance. It's not our job to know how it's going to come to us. It's our job to manifest it, to write it down, or, you know, whatever technique we're using, and then to just trust that it's going to come to us, and then to put in the action of whatever it may be. Sometimes it just requires you to go out. Sometimes, you know, you're like, oh, I just want to stay in all day and not do anything. And then you don't manifest anything because you didn't go anywhere. But, you know, you manifest, you know, you write something down in the morning in your journal, and you know, decide to go out to the grocery store and you find $20 on the ground, or, you know, whatever the case may be. So that's how I use scripting. I also have another video on scripting, like I said before. So definitely check that out because that'll help. It's a little bit more in depth. The second one that I use a lot is the placebo effect. So I'm sure you guys have heard of this before. And the placebo effect is where you basically trick your mind into thinking something is real. They use it very heavily in the medical field. For those of you who do take birth control, you know, you have the sugar pill in there, and that acts as a placebo effect. And they use it heavily in medical studies as well, to make you think that you have received a certain type of medication when you really didn't. So you're just basically tricking your mind that, you know, something is real. And the way I did this, excuse me, the way that I used Sorry. So the way that I use the placebo effect, I used it to lose weight. So what I would do is I would, write down. For me, when I write things down, I feel like it becomes heavily imprinted in my mind and in my subconscious mind as well. So I write everything down. That just works for me. It could work for you, who knows? And as when I'm doing it, so basically what I would write down is every time I take a step, I lose 1 pound. Every time I run, I lose 5 pounds. Every time I drink a bottle of water, I lose 5 pounds. Every time I eat healthy food, I lose 5 pounds. And I would do just that. And I didn't change a lot when I was doing this. I did become vegan around the time that I decided to use the placebo effect, mainly for spiritual reasons. I did not exercise. I know that sounds kind of crazy, like you're in the military and you weren't exercising. Like no, like I wasn't exercising. I was dealing with personal things at the time, so I actually didn't have to exercise, being in the military. So I wasn't exercising. All I did was I went vegetarian, vegan. I would go back and forth some days. And I used the placebo effect. I did drink lots of water. That is the thing too. You can't just say every time I drink water I lose 5 pounds and then drink like 1 glass of water, a day. So I was drinking like whole bottles like this, like maybe 3 or 4 of these a day. And water does help with losing weight as well, because the thing about manifesting is you can't just say something and expect it to come true. You have to put in the action. So, every time I would take a sip of water, like I would tell myself, every time I drink water, I lose 5 pounds. And, sometimes I would find myself like actually, chugging like a half a bottle or something like that. Using this, I lost 40 pounds in 45 days. Now, when I did this, when I started out, I wrote down my weight in my journal. And I did not look at the scale for the next 45 days. Like, I feel, for me anyways, and I guess it could be for a lot of people, when we see the numbers on the scale, we get disappointed because we're not losing weight quick enough. Or when we, tend to look at our bodies in the mirror and be like, oh, we don't look that, we don't look skinny, or, whatever the case may be, we get discouraged. So, I kind of, how do I say it, purposely avoided like body mirrors, and I put my scales away so that, it wouldn't be on my mind like, oh, you should weigh yourself. Like I completely put it out of my mind, because yes, it was important for me to lose weight, but at the same time, like the more thought and the more resistance you put on it, the farther it gets from you. And one of the last things I did for the placebo effect was I just constantly told myself, like, I am healthy and I am skinny. I literally repeated that to myself in my mind over and over and over and over and over again. And that's a cool thing. Kind of like a meditation. There are so many different forms of meditation. It's not just closing your eyes and being all zen and all that stuff. It's there's like spoken word meditations. I meditate all the time, like at work, when I'm driving in the car, and I'm not closing my eyes or anything like that. Like there are all sorts of different meditations. So I can make a video about that as well if you would like. But so yeah, I just told myself every day throughout the day, I am skinny and I am healthy. I'm skinny, I am healthy. While saying, every time I do this, I'll lose 1 pound. Every time I do this, I'll lose 5 pounds. And no joke, after 45 days, I weighed myself and I was literally 40 pounds skinnier. My uniform, actually, my Navy uniform didn't fit me anymore, and people could see it. Like, I honestly, like, I was so blown away, and I absolutely loved it. And not to mention, like, I lost all of my facial acne. One, because I was drinking so much water, and a part of it as well, also it could be my diet, because when you eat super healthy vegan and vegetarian, you cleanse your body. And acne, is just toxins in your body and things like that. But I was telling myself, like, I am healthy, and that's so broad, like, crazy broad. And I did have more energy. I wasn't as tired. I was losing weight. I lost, I didn't have acne. Like, it was great. So that's another way. And you can use that for so many things. You can use it for your hair. You can tell yourself, every time I brush my hair grows 1 inch. And, you just sit there and brush your hair or comb your hair, or, run your hands through your hair. Or, you can just look in the mirror and be like, wow, like, my hair is so long. Or, I love my curly hair. Or, I love my straight hair. You can do things like that as well. You're not limited. You can be super creative with the placebo effect, because you're just tricking your mind. And it really works, guys. 40 pounds. So the next thing that I use is I work with crystals a lot. And crystals have all sorts of meanings that you can use them for. Really, honestly, you could probably just, take any crystal. Like, this is a fluorite crystal. It's used for focus. For finding your life's purpose, protection, creativity, different things like that. Like, each crystal has its own meaning. But you could take a fluorite and you could hold it in your hands, and you could tell yourself, like, every time I hold this crystal, near me, I find, money flows to me. That's also another placebo effect. But you're also charging this crystal with a specific purpose, basically. And I have a book. I went and bought this. It says Crystal Tips and Cures. I bought this from a local metaphysical bookstore called The Tree of Life. So if you guys do live in San Diego, definitely hit it up down in Ocean Beach. It's a great store. It's absolutely helped me on my spiritual journey with different crystals and books. This is where I bought the majority of my crystals and my books from. So, but I work heavily with selenite and rainbow moonstone, but the most common crystals that you can use, and I can definitely make another video on crystals if you want me to. So I'm not going to go super in depth with them, but garnet is a great one for attracting money to you. Let's see. And here's one of my crystal pendulums. So this is a clear quartz. So one of the great things about clear quartz is that they magnify intentions, and they basically magnify the things around them. So, if you have any other, like, if I was to take garnet and carry it, and, with my quartz, my clear quartz, it would magnify the clear quartz. But one of the great things about clear quartz is they also magnify intentions. So what I like to do is I like to speak my manifestations into my crystals. And like I said, right now I'm working heavily on self-love and, stability and things like that. So, I would tell, the crystal, I am grateful that I am worthy. I am grateful I am important. I am grateful that I love myself. I am grateful that I show myself love every day. And you can literally speak anything into, I am grateful, I am abundant, I am grateful that money flows to me easily. And what I like to do with my crystals is you want to charge them with the intentions as well. You don't just want to speak into them, you want to charge them. So, excuse me, sorry. So what I do is after I speak my intentions into my pendulum, my crystal, I like to hold it next to my heart center. Some people like to hold it up here or, just in their hands, but I personally think that the energy from your heart center is so strong because it's, it radiates love, and love is, the strongest energy out there. And what I do is I hold the crystal in my hand against my, my heart center, and I just meditate with it, and I imagine that my heart center is sending out love to my crystal, and I imagine that my angels are shining their light, their divine gold light over the crystal, and I just hold that. Hold that image, hold that, visualization for a few minutes, and then it's charged. It's that simple. And then I just carry, this with me when I do use it. I also, you can charge crystals for anything, so I use this a lot for, my readings and different things like that. But you can do this with any crystal, absolutely any crystal, and I carry them on me. I actually have this little, it's another pendulum, my first pendulum that I ever bought, that I used heavily. It's a little locket. This is a really cool thing about this pendulum is I have crystals in this pendulum. It can be hard to see. This is an amethyst, and I have rose quartz and clear quartz, and a little bit of fluorite in there. Basically, what I did is I charged these crystals with intentions of connecting with the divine, connecting with my higher self, and receiving abundance, prosperity, clarity, and guidance and wisdom. You can literally manifest absolutely anything. The only person who can limit you is yourself. So there is an infinite amount of possibilities for manifesting. And I did the same thing with this. At first I held the crystals in my hand to my heart center, charged them, and then I put them inside the pendulum, and then I charged my pendulum. So I highly suggest something like this because you're actually keeping it on you. And for me, I notice it all the time because when I move around, it's constantly like smacking off of my chest, or the thing gets caught in my hair, and it's constantly bringing back my attention to this. So it doesn't have to be a pendulum. It can be a locket of any sort, but I think it's incredibly helpful because I used to put mine in my wallet or in my pocket, and honestly, I just forgot about it. I forgot that the crystals were there. And yes, you want to forget about the manifestation, what you're trying to manifest, but, remembering that you have these crystals here and, thinking on them, that's incredibly helpful. So that's how I use my crystals. If you would like another video on how to, or on the different crystals that I use for the different things, I have all sorts of crystals that I use for all sorts of things. I even have a grid laid out in this room, a crystal grid that really helps cleanse the energy and make it really peaceful. And that's also another good thing for manifesting as well, but that's a super in-depth video, so if you're interested in that, let me know. And then I use the 17-second method. Now, for those of you who follow Leor Alexandra, she has a few videos on this on her channel, which is how I learned it. And I literally, so there's a little story to this. So basically, I needed diapers. I needed money for diapers for my son, and I wasn't getting paid for another 3 days. And I was kind of freaking out, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was just like, spirit guides, guardian angels, higher self, please help me figure out how I'm going to get diapers. Like, I needed diapers that day. Like, my son had 3 diapers left, and he goes through like 10 in a day, if not more. And I was just like, please help me. And one of the things that I use a lot is YouTube. Like, I'm constantly, every single morning, after I do my morning routine, I get on YouTube and I look through my recommended videos. And I save them to my watch later list. And when I'm driving in the car, I just, put it on play and I just listen to them, because a lot of them are documentaries and things like that. And that morning, when I was going through my YouTube, I actually found the 17-second method from Leor Alexandra. And I listened to it like 3 or 4 times on the way to work. And when I got to work, I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. So basically what I did was I set a timer on my phone, and for 17 seconds, I focused and meditated on receiving diapers. That I had diapers for my son. I really honestly just focused, like, I am grateful, that I received diapers for my son. And I just meditated on that and thought about it. And then after 17 seconds, you set another timer for, I think it's 52 or 56 seconds. I'm not exactly sure. And then you do that again. Sorry. But you focus on the details of it. You actually focus on, like, going to the store and buying the diapers, or that's what I did. I focused on going to the store, buying the diapers, and being able to, change my son's diaper. And then you basically say, universe, I am so grateful that you have taken this worry off of my plate. I am grateful that you are working hard to send me a solution. Thank you so much. I did that, and then I let it go completely, and I went to work. Literally that day at 9:32, remember, because I actually wrote it down in my journals, and I read through my journals every now and then. At 9:32 a.m., I received a notification on my phone that I had received a deposit in my bank account, and it was my paycheck. My paycheck came 3 days early. Normally I get paid 2 or 3 days early in advance. This time I literally got paid 6 days in advance, and I couldn't believe it. I was just so, like, blown away. Like, I was so happy, like, I couldn't believe it. And of course, like it was just absolutely incredible. I got paid 6 days early. Who gets paid 6 days early? That doesn't happen at all. Like, it just doesn't happen. It had really worked. And I think what had made it so strong was, one, I connected with my angels, to ask for help for this. And I didn't focus on money. I didn't focus on the fact that I needed $30 to buy diapers. I focused on the fact that I needed diapers for my son. That's what I was focusing on. But also because work was super chaotic that day. So I was so focused on what was going on at work that I didn't really have time to think about anything else. So that definitely helped as well. So basically, just to recap, so what you do is you set a timer, and for 17 seconds you meditate and you think about the thing that you want. And then after the 17 seconds you set another timer, which I believe it's like 52 or 56 seconds. I don't think it's that important. I set the timer for 56 seconds and it worked for me. And you basically just meditate and think about the details of the object, not how you're going to get it, but you just focus on the object. So for me, like, I focus on going to the store, grabbing a box of diapers, and going to the checkout and being really happy that I was able to pay for it. That's what I focused on. And then you say universe, or divine spirit, or God, or whatever you believe in, say, universe, I am so grateful that you have taken this worry off of my plate. I know that you are working hard to send me a solution, and I am truly grateful. And then you just let it go. You let the universe take care of it because you did your part. There's not much that you can do. I only use this for really small manifestations, and it's worked for me 9 times out of 10. It's worked for me. So there's that. And then the last thing that I have that I think would be really cool for a lot of people would be interested in is it's a book. It's called Light Magic for Dark Times. I think you can buy it off Amazon, but again, I bought it from the local bookstore here at the Tree of Life. So yeah, but I'm sure you can find it on Amazon or something like that. But it's a book of spells, and it's not witchcraft. I don't practice witchcraft. I'm not that there's anything wrong with witchcraft at all or anything like that. But I mean, words are just spells. That's all they are. It's not anything like dark or creepy or satanic or anything like that. It's not. That's just the way society kind of shows things. But anyways, so there's lots of different things in here for love, trauma, negativity, recharging your battery, your body, self-love. There's shadow work, there's writing magic, so along with like scripting and things like that, and last minute spells for like emergencies. I have definitely used a lot of these, and I think they're extremely helpful. One of the things that you can do is you can take a healthy marker. You definitely don't want to get anything that's toxic, and you can write down what you want to embody on your arm, or not on your arm, but just your skin in general. I am love, I am loved, I am worthy, I am important, I am happy, I am skinny, I am healthy. You can write that down on your arm. You don't wash it off, but basically what you do is you embody those. And you just let it stay on your skin until it fades away on its own. I know that's like a heavily practiced thing for Vikings. Like I know Vikings did that a lot back in ancient times. I don't know if you call it ancient times, but back then when they thrived with the runes. Runes are another great way to manifest, but that's a different video because it's really long. So those are all of my techniques for manifesting. I hope that you found them helpful. If you have any questions about anything, comment below, or feel free to message me. Don't forget to like the video if you did like it. Please share it and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great day.